Hi everybody, Jake the Foxy here, inside a brand new game called Plasma. It's sort of an engineering sandbox playground where you can build and program all sorts of fabulous devices. And I've been having a lot of fun seeing all the different things I can create. And I want to show you one of my creations today, the first car that I built in Plasma, the Foxy Wagon. And it's right over here. So let's go check it out. So here it is, the Foxy Wagon, my first real creation in Plasma. I decided to do a car for my first build because it seemed like a good idea at the time, and I felt like I could do a few interesting things with it. As you can see, I made the car look like a fox. You can see with the little ears up here in the corners and the little nose sticking out in front. I also added a roll cage all around it because as this car drives, it needs it. And if I move around, you can see some more of the features, more of the roll cage. You can see this little section in here in the back forming a tail, which was actually rather serendipitous. I kind of liked how that turned out. There's a thruster in the back because why not? Some exhaust and some tail lights that actually work, but we'll be showing those more later. And some various controls here in the back, which is kind of hard to get into at the moment, but we'll cover each of those in turn. And if I sit down here in the driver's seat, you can see that we have this complicated dash panel here. Most everything is labeled as it should be. There's the gear indicator to show which gear we're currently in. There's the speedometer in kilometers per hour, and there's the tachyometer in rotations per minute. More on those later. We also have this brake indicator here, which is just to indicate if the parking brake is on. I installed a parking brake to keep the car from rolling away while it is parked. Notice I disengaged the parking brake, and if I try pushing it now, see, it rolls quite a bit until it'll eventually stop, or it'll just keep going. But if I engage the parking brake, it stops immediately. Now if I try and push it, just pushing it the other way, you can see it stops almost immediately when I stop pushing it. And just to show it going the same direction. So there's the parking brake. Also, if you're ever trying to drive and it's not going anywhere, just make sure the parking brake is turned off. That's why I put the indicator on there, just to remind you. And here are these various switches. This red one engages the turbo, so I won't be touching that one. But these two control the lamps, which can be toggled individually. One for the set that's on the bumper in the front, and the other, the spotlights, which are on top on the ears. We don't need those on because it's daytime. Now, in order to get the gears to work, because Plasma does not actually have gears, I had to simulate a transmission in code, which, being a programmer, I thought that would be fairly simple, but it was not. I really struggled with that. But I'll show you more of the sketch later. Why don't we actually try driving this thing? Now, there are actually 6 gears on this car, but the first gear is actually reverse. So technically there are only 5 gears. Also, you'll notice that as I turn, the steering wheel turns as well. And of course the horn works. So just a cute little extra. Also, before I get started, this car is controllable with both the keyboard and the gamepad, but I highly recommend using the gamepad because then you can use the differential braking and acceleration. Because if I put it into second here, and I'll go forward, you see our target speed increases the more I press down the acceleration pedal until we reach top speed for that gear. Now we can go faster if I go into the next higher gear, but of course we're losing torque for that. And and I'm doing a bit of rock crawling here. Didn't intend this route, just a little impromptu there. And it looks like some more rocks. Can we squeeze through here? I hope so. Yep. Alright. And you might notice these numbers up here at the top of the windshield changing values as we drive. And those were originally just included for debugging purposes, but I thought they looked cool, so I decided to keep them. This one right here shows our target speed. This one shows our acceleration as a percentage of our total acceleration. Right now I'm applying the brake, so it's using 90% deceleration in that case. And over here in the last column is the torque, or how much torque is being applied. If I go back to gear 2, you see we're using 100% of our available torque, but if I go to gear 3, we're only using 50%, but we can go twice as fast. I tried to keep it realistic, where, you know, power equals torque times speed, so the math all works out on that. So you see, if I drop into 4th gear, we can go even faster, although it's kind of hard to do that in this windy section. Oh goodness, I did not plan this out at all. This is totally impromptu. Whoa, careful. Okay. Alright. Come on now. Okay. Okay, don't get stuck. Don't roll over either, please. Oh goodness, you can see it's quite a tough little car. It can handle quite a bit. For most things, you'll probably want to stay in 3rd gear just because most of these maps tend to be small. 3rd or 4th is where this car really shines, but the other gears have their uses too. Like here we're coming up this mountain, and 2nd gear, even though we have all the torque, we don't really quite have the speed to get up here, so we don't really need the 2nd gear, so it's better to use 3rd, and we're able to climb this hill just fine. Now I had to include a ramp here because these rocks were too much for it to climb over. I mean, it might be able to do it if it had more ground clearance, but I did not design it that way. Come on. There we go. And now, testing the brakes right there. Right at the edge of this cliff. Turn on the parking brake so it doesn't roll away, and we can see how close we got. Oh yeah, look at that. Any further and we would have gone just flying right off of there. And that, of course, is just driving without even using the turbo, so let's not bother with that. But for getting back down here, why don't we taking the quick way? Oh, I forgot myself to turn off the parking brake. That's why that light is so important right there. Okay, let's just back it up here. And now, Okay, I only tried this once before, and it worked out fine, so here's hoping it'll work again in the video. So anyway, let's go. Alright, come on, and blast off. Ah, geez. Oh no, brake. Okay, down. Keep going. Whew, and turn it off. Hey, we actually made it down safely. I don't believe it. I mean, I think we had a little bit of a bump there, a head-on collision with the ground, but we're still driving. I don't think there's damage in this game, so it doesn't really hurt anything. And we're back around to where we started. So, actually, I'll leave the parking brake off because we're on flat ground. And I want to show you another feature that this car has. Wait. See? Look at it. Even though we're on flat ground, it's still wanting to roll away. Turn the parking brake on, and that takes care of that. Okay. So I'll leave the parking brake on for now as I go over and cover this stuff here in the back. Here's the game controller that takes care of the controller input, and there's the controller for the whole thing where all the programming is. But if you toggle this switch right here, this will change it so that it can operate in remote control mode, but only with the gamepad. Unfortunately, you can't use the keyboard unless you're sitting in the driver's seat. But this is really good for testing purposes, or for if you just want to third-person view. And I can show you some more of the features. Probably didn't need to zoom out that far. Okay, let's go to like right here maybe? I don't know. Anyway, here now, if I try driving it. Alright, I forgot to turn off the parking brake. Ah, this thing's annoying. It's useful, but annoying. Okay, alright. Now then. Alright, as you can see, now I'm totally controlling the car just as if it was an RC car. And you can see the exhaust coming out of the back as if it was an actual engine driving it. And if I drive off and apply the brakes, you can see the tail lights come on whenever I apply the brakes. So they actually work too. And if I press another button, I can turn on the lights on and off. Unfortunately, I can't toggle them individually. That can only be done from the passenger seat. This either turns them all on or all off in this control mode. And I can still use the horn too. You can barely hear it from here, but it works. So park it again, and that's it for the main features. So why don't we take a look at the sketch and see how this thing actually operates. So here we are in the sketch. As you can see, it's a bit complicated, but it's not too bad if you just go piece by piece. So let's just start with this first section here, which is the player controller. And basically this handles all the input from both the driver's seat and the gamepad. And as you can see, we have the lines coming here from the driver's seat and from the gamepad, and both of those get merged into this number array. And I combine everything into an array just so I can control it all with a single gate. Otherwise, I'd have to put a gate for each of these different control lines, and that would be just take up a whole lot more space. And the gate is controlled by whether or not the player is actually sitting in the driver's seat but it can also be overridden by this remote enable, and that's how we're able to use the gamepad as a sort of remote control. Moving on over here, we have the motor control. This is what actually drives the car, and this was the most complicated part to build. It basically takes in the data and decomposes the array from the input, and then it goes through these two Lua functions right here. Well, this is a Lua function. This is actually a Lua program. And if we look at the source code here, it looks a bit complicated, but it's not too bad. This one actually just controls the gear selection. That's pretty much all it does. It remembers what gear the car is currently in, and it increments or decrements the gear whenever the player presses the X or the Y or A buttons on the controller, or the 1 or 2 buttons on the keyboard. And over here is the motor controller. So that information, along with the input from the brake and the gas pedal and the parking brake, all get fed into here. And here at the top, I just have a table of values that indicate the speed for each gear. And here I have different cases for if the brakes are being applied, or if the parking brake is on, or if you're not braking, then you're driving. So here it calculates what the speed should be from the accelerator and the max speed from the table above, and it calculates what the torque should be from the maximum power that is available and the maximum speed, and it just applies all of that correctly. And then it goes routes and writes the speed, the torque, and the acceleration to these variable writers here, which then control the 4 motors which are driving the wheels. There's also the gear indicator and the brake indicator, but those is just simple scripts, so those don't need too much explanation. Moving on, we have exhaust control. This basically just controls the output from the exhaust, which it just uses this range tester to see if the gas pedal is being depressed a minimum amount, so there's a dead zone, and before turning the exhaust on. And then the speed of the exhaust is controlled by how much the gas pedal is pressed. Now, normally the exhaust would, in a normal engine car, the exhaust would always be on while the engine's idling, but I found it rather annoying to have the exhaust on all the time. So, in spite of realism, I thought this was just nicer aesthetically. And here are the taillights, which do a very similar test here, just with the brake pedal instead of the gas pedal, to turn on the braking lights if the brake is being applied. And down here we have steering, just a couple of math expressions to figure out how much to turn the steering servos on both of the front wheels. It's front wheel steering only. And also how much to turn the steering wheel inside the car. The steering wheel in the car is totally reactionary. You can't actually turn the wheel to drive the car. You have to use the keyboard or the game controller, but still I thought it was cute having that visual feedback of actually steering a car. And over here we have the switch and button controls. Now this section is a little bit ridiculous, particularly this right here. I had to create a Lua function to handle light switches. And this looks intimidating, but all it's doing is remembering whether the switch has been flipped or not, and then toggling it when the button is pressed. Because without this, just using the scripts alone, all I was able to do was to get it to toggle to turn on while the button was pressed, but as soon as I released the button, it would turn back off again. To get it to toggle, I had to use this, which seems a bit extreme, but it's what I had to do. And over here, you can ignore these. Mostly, these are just being controlled by the variables that I set up just to make things easier, so that we don't have wires running all over the place. Because let's face it, this is it's messy enough as it is. And here's the tachyometer reading. Now, in a normal car, the tachyometer is reading from the engine how many revolutions it's making. But here we actually have 4 motors driving each of the wheels. So it actually takes the current speed from all of those motors, combines them in a math expression, and converts it to RPMs to display on the tachyometer. And up here we have the same section, but for the speedometer. And this is a very simple setup for the speedometer. Basically, we're using a GPS tracker, which we're updating every tick, and then we're getting the velocity from that GPS tracker, and getting the magnitude of that, and then just using the magnitude to, which is basically our speed, and then just converting that into kilometers per hour with a simple multiplication. And if you wanted miles per hour instead, you just change this value here. Or if you wanted meters per second, you could set it to 1. And that's basically all of the script. I told you it wasn't too bad. One other thing that I wanted to mention is that in an earlier iteration of the Foxy Wagon, I actually tried using the accelerometer component to compute the output velocity to show on the speedometer. Now, of course, the accelerometer only reports the acceleration. So I wrote an entire Lua program to integrate the output from the accelerometer to compute the velocity. And this worked sort of. I mean, it only produced an approximation, and it procedurally got worse over time, which meant it constantly had to be recalibrated. And I just thought, okay, this is totally nuts. There's got to be a better way to do this. And then I thought, hey, maybe instead of integrating the acceleration, I could differentiate the car's position and compute the velocity that way. So I added a GPS tracker to get the car's position, and then I found out that the GPS component reports the velocity automatically without me having to compute it. So I did all this work for nothing. I also tried using raw motors as well in an different version, but I couldn't quite get them to work the way that I wanted to, so I just switched back to using the standard motors. Anyway, now that we've looked at the scratch, why don't we look at try testing this car in some different environments to see how well it performs. So here we are on the desert map with more mountainous, more rugged terrain to really test out the stability and capability of this vehicle. So let's see how well it handles. All right, again, got to turn the parking brake off. Put it into second because first is reverse. And off we go. Now this hill that's right in front of us is incredibly steep. And I sometimes have difficulty getting this thing up there, but we'll see if we can't make it. Okay. Alright. We're gonna need more speed, so we're gonna have to go into third. No. Come on. No, we're already tilting. Come on. Keep going. I can actually use the boost to try and help a bit. And now we're getting up the hill a bit faster. Oh, but we're coming to the crest, so turn the boost off. And we're over. Oh boy. So as you can see there, it can handle even steep inclines like that one. Although sometimes it needs a bit of help. Now, trying to go back down is going to be a lot more dangerous because it'll pick up speed fast. So I have to kind of ride the brake. But if we ride the brake too hard, the car will flip over and just tumble head over heels down the mountainside. So hopefully that won't happen. And here we go. Okay, so we're already picking up speed. Watch the bumps. Watch the... No, too late. See, it's already happened. Nope. No, 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 no. Darn it, all. Will we land on our feet? No. Can I jimmy myself free? Oh, hey, maybe. I think I got it working. Ooh, I actually managed to get out of that. I wouldn't exactly call that a success, but hey, at least we're still driving and I didn't have to reset the vehicle. Anyway, let's try going around the sand dunes here, see if we can pick up some more speed. Oh boy. It's still too tight through here, I can't get up too much speed. Whoa, no! Okay, see, if you could drive too fast, sometimes that can happen, and in this case, I just have to get out and reset the vehicle. Alright. That should take care of it, and now we can continue on, hopefully without messing up any more. I was just trying to go too fast over the dunes. I should have tried taking it slower through there. Now I'll definitely have to try and take it slowly through here because it gets really tight. Oh boy, careful. There we go. Alright. Actually, can I turn on the lights? There we go. That, even though it's daylight, it's kind of dark down here in this canyon, so this helps a bit. And as you can see, even though it looks really tight through here and this car is really wide, we can actually just shimmy right through here. So it can fit in a lot of spaces that you wouldn't think it would. You can actually starting to widen out some, so maybe we can pick up speed a bit. Although not too much. I dare not put it into fifth again. Like for most operations, you never want to go more than fourth anyway. Fifth is a bit uncontrollable, and I'm not sure where I'm going right now, to be honest. I'm not sure if there's a way forward through here or not. Okay, I think I'm stuck. That was not exactly the way that I wanted to go. So, but you get the idea here. And there's still one more test that I wanted to do. So let's head over to the yet another map so I can show you what this car is really capable of. Okay, so here I am in my super flat world, where I did a lot of the testing for this vehicle, just because it's a huge, flat, smooth surface with virtually no objects to run into. You can just ignore these machines over here. I just built these for doing some testing with motors. I may cover them some later time in a tutorial on motors or something like that, once I learn more about how this game works myself. Also, this thing right here is just marking the world origin, so I have a reference point to know where I am, because otherwise it's very easy to get lost in the vast openness. But anyway, let's see what this car can do when we go flat out. Of course, turn the parking brake off. And now we can head on out. So we'll just start in 2, and then accelerate up to 3. And just keep going. Now, I have gotten this thing up to 80 before, so usually about around 50 is about where it gives out, and I have to start paying closer attention. But I just want to come out here a ways first, and then I'll turn around and see how fast this thing can really go. Yeah. Also, as we're getting further out here, notice how the speedometer over there is starting to glitch out. You can see it flickering and stuff there. That is, whoa. Oh, I tried stopping too quickly there and almost face planted again. But anyway, that flickering there is just caused by going too far from the world origin, I think. It's just a graphical glitch in the game. Hopefully they'll fix it at some point. But it doesn't affect the performance of the car at all, I don't think. Anyway, so as I was saying earlier, about 50 is normally the maximum that you can get to on this thing. But I've been able to take it up as far as 80 before in some of my tests. I don't know if I'll be able to repeat it this time, but I'll certainly try. So here we go. All right. Just picking up speed. Going into 4th. 5th. All right, once we hit 50, then I'll turn on the boost. Okay, there we go. All right. And see, already we gained 10 from that, and already it's getting harder to control. Go up into 6. All right, now we're up into 70. 75, come on. 77, 78. 80, there we go. We hit it. Come on. How much farther can we go? 82? 83? 83. If we hit 88, we can time travel. No, no, darn it. Ah. And that's what happens when you go that speed. All right, well, I'll just reset this, and I'll give that one more try. Okay, we're really far out now. The speedometer is going crazy, but again, it's just a graphical glitch. It shouldn't interfere with the operations of the vehicle. And the world origin is just a tiny little point on the horizon. I don't know if you can even make it out in the video or not, but it's there. So, but let's see if we can't cross the diameter of this vast plane and at top speed. So, here we go. Let's give it a try. Come on. Okay, it's getting unstable now. I hope we don't hit anything. on, top speed. No, 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 darn it, darn it, darn it, darn it. What was that, 70 something? Oh, goodness. Well, we almost made it back to the location, and at least we didn't flip over this time. So that's good. Alright, well, we'll just park it here, and I think maybe we'll call that quits. So, that was the Foxy Wagon. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more plasma creations like this one, be sure to subscribe, because I'll definitely be doing more videos like this one. And I also post videos of lots of other fun games, so be sure to check those out as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.